Hello everyone, this is Kalyan Kumar Shanmugam. So today we are going to do a presentation for the shoulder. This is my patient. What's your name, sir?
Harina.
And what's your age?
80.
So today we will do an examination for the shoulder for you. Is it okay for you? So do you have any pain in the shoulder? Do you have any past surgery?
No.
Okay. You need to remove your t-shirt. Is it okay for you? So let's continue the examination.
Now I'm inspecting from the front. I'm looking for the head and neck posture, symmetry of shoulders, alignment of shoulder girdle and scars. Inspecting from the side, I'm looking for any scars. And inspecting from behind, I'm looking for scars, alignment of shoulder girdle and winged scapula. Inspect for winged scapula. I told my patient to press the both hands on the wall. Now I'm going to feel the shoulder joint. If you have any pain, just tell me. First, assess and compare joint temperature. Palpate the shoulder girdle. Now I'm looking for the acromioclavicular joint. I'm pressing the head of the humerus and greater tuberosity of the humerus. I told my patient to face the wall behind him. I'm palpating the borders and the spine of the scapula. I told my patient to put his both hands behind his head and elbows back. I'm looking for the shoulder abduction and external rotation with elbow flexion. Now reach up your back as far as you can. This is for shoulder internal rotation. I'm going to do the active shoulder flexion. Put your arms in the front as high as you can. Now bring the arm back and go behind as you can. Active shoulder abduction. Bring your arm out of the side all the way to the top as much as you can. Take your arms down and bring them across your body. Now active shoulder external rotation. Take your elbows in and bring your arms out. And then across your body. Now assess the movement of the scapula. Assess the degree and smoothness of the scapular movement. Bring your left arm up all the way to the ceiling. And relax. I'm going to move your arms for the access passive shoulder movement. In active movement, reveal abnormalities for the crepitus. I'm going to do the passive shoulder flexion. Now passive shoulder extension. Now passive shoulder abduction. Now passive shoulder adduction. Now I'm going to do the passive shoulder external and internal rotation.
Now we are going to do the cross adduction test. The adduction test has a sensitivity of 77%, the specificity of 79%. To conduct the test, we should elevate the arm to the 90-degree flexion, then maximum of horizontal adduction. If there is a pain, it will be positive and it will be paining in the top of the shoulder. Now we are going to do Apley's test. It is the shoulder range of movement test. In this, we ask to place the dorsal aspect of their hand behind their back to reach up towards their scapula as high as they can. Now, they assess the internal rotation and adduction. This test is repeated in their other hand, the patient's region, from above towards the scapula and then assess external rotation and abduction. We need to know that the vertebral level reached with each other attempt, the test is positive. If either internal over external rotation is significantly reduced, a positive test signifies capsular ligament. Now we are going to do the knee test. In the knee test, the sensitivity is to be from 59 to 72% and specificity is 60%. For performing the knee test, the patient should be in sitting position, and I am going to stand behind the patient, and I am going to use the one hand to stabilize the patient's scapula. Then bring the arm to the maximal passive shoulder flexion. The test is considered positive in case of the reproduction of the patient's familiar shoulder pain during maximal shoulder flexion. Now we are going to do Hawking candidate test. In the sensitivity is 58 to 80% and the specificity is 56 to 67%. To perform this Hawking candidate test, the patient should be in sitting position with the affected arm in 90° of shoulder flexion and the elbow flexed to 90°. Then locate the scapula with one hand and hold the patient elbow with the other hand and add some internal rotation in the glenohumeral joint. The test is considered positive in case of the reproduction of the patient familiar shoulder. Now I am going to do the drop arm test. It has sensitivity of 73% and specificity of 77%. It is a diagnosis of full thickness tears of the supraspinatus and infraspinatus tendons. To perform this drop arm test, we need to have our patient sitting or standing position and bring the affected arm into 90° of abduction and external rotation passively. Then tell the patient to hold the position and release your supporting hand. The test is positive if full thickness tears of the supra and infraspinatus if your patient is unable to slowly control the downfall movement. This is called drop arm test. Now we are going to the empty tank test. It has a sensitivity of 74% and a specificity of 30%. To conduct the test, the patient should be in sitting or in standing position. The arms of the patient are elevated to 90° in the scapular plane. The arms are then fully internally rotated so that the thumbs pointed towards the floor. The patient is resisted downward pressure applied by the examiner. Rotate your hands. Now I'm going to apply pressure in both the hands. A positive test is indicated by the weakness and or a pain in a positive test is indicated by weakness and or a pain of the affected arm. A positive test is indicated by the weakness of the pain on the affected arm. Cooperate when the positive test is indicated by the weakness and RA pain of the affected arm when compared to the unaffected side. Now I'm going to examine your wrist and hands. I'm going to check your hands, wrist and your finger. Is it okay for you? Shall I continue the examination?
I'm going to inspect the hands and look for scars and swelling, deformities, skin and nail changes, and muscle wasting. Can I turn them over? And I'm looking for the scars and swelling, thenar and hypothenar busting. Now lift your arm up and show the elbows. And now I'm inspecting the elbows. Now I'm going to feel the temperature in both the hands. Now assess and compare the joint temperature. Palpate the radial and ulnar pulses. Assess the thenar and hypothenar muscle bulk. Assess for palmar thickening. I am going to gently touch your hands. If you feel sensation, can you please say yes to me?
Yes. 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 Yes.
Return the hands.
Yes. Yes.
Now comparing the joint temperature. I'm going to press the joints. Let me know if it's painful. Bimanually palpate the joints of the hand. Note any tenderness or asymmetry. Bimanually palpate the wrist joint and note any tenderness or asymmetry. Now I'm going to feel your elbows at the both sides. I'm going to palpate the ulnar border of each arm to the below and note any rheumatoid nodal. Now turn your hands over and make it a fist. I'm looking for the finger extension and flexion. Now keep your hands like this with straight elbows and turn them over. This is for wrist flexion. I'm going to move your wrist for the both sides. This is for passive wrist flexion and extension. Now I'm going to test some movement in your hands. Lift your hands and spread your fingers like this. Stop me from pushing them down. This is to check the finger extension against resistance. And turn them over. This is for thumb abduction against resistance. Now squeeze my fingers in both hands as much as you can. This is to find the power grip. Pinch my finger in both of your thumb and index finger. This is to find the pincher grip of the patient. I had a car key. I told my patient to pick it up with the one hand and I observed the patient picking up a small object.
What is the test hand grip strength? It used to measure the maximum isometric strength of the hand and forearm muscle, and this is then a general measure of the overall arm strength. In this, a hand grip strength is an important strength for a variety of an activity of daily living and activities in which hands are used. In this, a patient should be held something heavy in 90 degree. Now I'm going to give a patient the object of 30 kilos and let's see, I'm going to make it 3 trials and let's see what's the result. You need to cast the object in a right angle way. And the other hand. So I made 3 trials now, and which is the most dominant one will be the recorded. Now we are going to do the Finkel's time test. It is a test that stresses the abductor, longus and the extensor pollicis brevis tendons, which share a common tendon shelf over the distal radius irritation and subsequent pain from these tendons, and they share is a symptom of decuverness tenosynovitis. You need to close the finger over the thumb so that you can form a fist with your thumb inside the DPA, the rest. A positive would be pain over the distal radius. Thumb abduction. Maximally flex the patient wrist, keeping thumb fully extended and abducted. Moving the thumb apart from the palm, that is called abduction. It is performed by the dorsal intersegment. Apply gradually increasing abduction to the thumb. When a patient is unable to maintain the force against the examiner, the patient is free to release. Now the test is completed. And now we are going to perform the tunnel test. To perform the test, tap over the carpal tunnel at the wrist. Tap along the whole distribution of the median wave from the index finger towards the elbow. The test is positive for the carpal tunnel syndrome if tingling or parasynesthesia is felt in the thumb, index finger, and the middle finger, and the lateral half of the ring finger, which is the distribution of the median nerve. Now we are going to perform Pallen's test. Pallen's test is having a sensitivity of 85% and a specificity of 89%. To perform Pallen's test, you need to tell the patient to flex his wrist maximally and hold the dorsal side of his hand together for 1 minute. The test is positive. The patient experienced tingling in the thumb, index finger, middle finger, and the lateral half of the ring finger, which indicate the pressure on median nerve. Now I'm going to examine your knees. Is it okay for you? I'm going to assess the knee and the knee joint in your legs. Can you start the examination?
Start. Assess, guide, and observe guide cycle. Inspect from the front. Quadra ribs bulk, knee swelling and deformity and foot deformity. Inspect from the side, knee flexion, foot arches and toe deformity. Now I'm going to feel both the knees and I'm going to assess and compare the temperature. Now palpating the knee with the straight leg for the quadra ribs tendon, patella and patella tendon. Now I'm doing the patella tap which allows detection of large joint effusions. Now I'm doing the swipe test which allows detection of small joint effusion in this empty fluid from the medial aspect of the knee into the suprapatellar pouch. Hold the fluid in the suprapatellar pouch with one hand on the medial side. Swipe down from the suprapatellar pouch on the lateral side. The appearance of a bulge or ripple on the medial side of the joint suggested the presence of effusion. Now palpate the knee flexed at 90 degree, the patella tendon, tibial tuberosity and the medial joint lengths. Lateral joint lines, head of the fibula, collateral ligaments. Now bend your right knee as much as you can. Now straight the leg and do it in the other leg. This is for the active knee flexion and extension. Now we are going to do the same, but now I'm going to help you out. This is called passive knee flexion and extension. Now lift each leg. This is called passive knee hyperextension. Now bend the right leg and keep your foot in the bench. This is called anterior and posterior drawer test. And relax.
Let's move on to bulge sign. The patient knee should be extended and muscles should be relaxed. The examiner sweeps the medial races of the knee joint upward, such as any fluid in displaced on the medial side. The examiner sweeps the hand from suprapatellar pouch laterally downward over the lateral recess of the knee joint to push fluid into the medial side. I looked for a bulge sign to appear in my patient's leg. The bulge sign is scored as absent. Now we move on to the balloon sign test. It is a test on the knee effusion. The examiner needs to press one hand over the suprapatellar pouch and gently push it downwards. And we need to tap gently with the thumb or finger over the patella. The test is positive with the patella force. Now we are going to see the ballotting the patella. To perform this test, we need to make our patient in a supine lying position with a fully extended leg. Then stroke downwards just until you reach the suprapatellar pouch and press downwards. With the other hand, perform the same and stop just below the apex of the patella while applying downward pressure. Take one finger and press onto the patella. See whether it's floating.
Stop.
If you can feel the patella is floating when you are tapping onto it, this means the fluid has accumulated under it and it is an indication for swelling in the knee joint. We are going to see the McMurray test. Diagnostic accuracy of this test is low as 60%. This means only 60% of patients were correctly diagnosed by musculoskeletal clinicians. For conducting this test, the patient should be in a supine laying position with the tested knee fully flexed. Then rotate bilaterally and bring the knee into extension. We need to repeat this process a couple of times with a different angle of knee flexion in order to test the whole posterior aspect of the lateral meniscus. And if you want to know the order of the medius meniscus, bring the knee to the full flexion and laterally rotate the tibia. Pressure on the meniscus is not as high. This test is considered to be positive if your patient experiences clicking, locking or pain in the knee. Now we are going to see the Vargas test. It has a sensitivity of 78% and a specificity of 67%. When patient had any main outcome measure, it will be the sensitivity of 91% and specificity of 49%. We need to place the patient in the supine lying position with legs fully extended. With one hand, grab onto the lower leg above ankle, and the other hand is used to locate the femur. To slightly externally rotate the tibia and perform passive abduction in the knee joint, thus putting stress on medial collateral ligament. And look for any excessive soaping on the medial side. Perform test again in 20 to 30 degree of flexion. We are going to see the Vargas test. It has a sensitivity of 25%. We need to place the patient in the supine lying position with legs fully extended. To perform, we need to grab on the lower leg with one hand above ankle joint and fixate with other hand on medial side of the femur. Apply lateral rotation in knee point and perform passive adduction put stress on the lateral collateral ligament to perform again in 20 to 30%. When we are conducting this test, we look for the excessive gapping on the lateral side of the knee joint, and if the barrel stress test is positive at 20% but negative at 0, is only on the lateral collateral ligament is torn. Now we are going to look for the anterior drawer test. In this test, we are going to test the ACL. It is also called anterior cruciate ligament. It has a sensitivity of 92% and the specificity of 91%. To perform the anterior drawer test, we need to bring the patient hip to 45 degree and the patient knee to 90 degree of flexion. We can gently sit on the foot of the patient and palpate the joint line with our thumb and try to move the tibia anteriorly in an explosive movement. The test is positive if the tibia translates anteriorly more than 6 mm if we experience a soft and mushy end feel. Now we are going to see the Lachman test. It is sensitive to the anterior cruciate ligament rupture. It has a sensitivity of 85% and specificity of 94%. To perform this test, we need a patient in a supine position and bring patient test the leg into 30 degrees of flexion. Now finate the femur with other hand and bring the tibia slightly into external rotation and then try to translate the tibia anteriorly. The test is positive if you feel any soft or mushy in the anterior part. Now we are going to see the posterior drawer test. In this test, we need to place the patient in a supine lying position and ask the patient to flex his hip to 45 degree and knee to 90 degree and fix on the sitting position on his foot of the patient. Then palpate the joint line and push the tibia posteriorly in an explosive movement. Positive if the tibia transcends more than 6 mm. The test has been done successfully and I would like to thank my patient Hari for his cooperation. Thank you.